I have loved the security at almost every job that I've had because, especially in New York, security, like you said, they're just trying to get through their day. So they really don't even step in unless you are actively being stabbed.
God, no.
Right. And even then they're trying to sneak up on the person because they don't get, adequately equipped to handle what's happening.
No.
Right.
Not at all. They want to get through their day, have to write a few things down that they're supposed to write down, and then leave.
And so
they don't have these Paul Blart dreams.
Yeah, like this is my thing. Okay, one of my favorites was when I was in Chicago, and remember I worked at the other grocery store, right? When I worked there was this one time. This shouldn't be as funny to me as it is. So
that could be the name of this fucking show.
Yeah, listeners, forgive me now. But there was a guy that was in the store wilding, right? Like truly wilding out. And as this dude was freaking out, somebody started screaming, like one of the customers started screaming, "Hey, go do something," because this dude is like, I don't even know how to describe it. He was truly just like freaking out. He wasn't even stealing because he was still in the store.
Right.
It's not stealing till you leave. And basically he starts like popping off, screaming at people, running around, everything, right? And the security, that the company that we worked with was a company that clearly must have just had some overall contract, because at every store it was the same uniform, right? And
well, they're a costume shop that had to pivot.
Yeah, there we go. Because
no one's renting our uniforms anymore.
Everybody that they sent except for everybody that they sent except for one guy couldn't fight and looked like they couldn't fight, right? And so there was this woman who was clearly like in her 60s, and she was a little frail as well. And she was working security for the grocery store, right? And so,
I'm not saying that 6-year-old women aren't strong, but they shouldn't have to do that.
They shouldn't have to be strong.
They shouldn't have to be strong for security.
For security, come on.
Yeah.
So then, basically, this dude's wilding out, and then it got to a point where customers were yelling at us and the security, like, "Hey, do something!" Like. Because it's like this person is clearly they're not even like having necessarily a violent outburst, but they are running around and screaming and like swinging. So they're not trying to hit anyone, but they're just like, they're not with us right now, right?
Yeah,
is the best way to
elsewhere.
put it.
They're fighting a war in Narnia.
Yeah, and so
they're not here.
And so then everyone was screaming for, this person to do something, right? And so she like, that's the moment. And it's funny because every single one of these guards that I worked with had a moment where I made eye contact with them and could tell they didn't want to be security anymore. Like, dude, straight up, like everyone I'm about to describe to you, even the dude that could fight, I'm telling you right now, I've looked in their eyes while the thing was happening. And then when we made eye contact, they were like, I could have been doing anything else right now. And so then I
should have stuck to painting.
So then she gets off of, I think she might have been sitting on the counter or something, and then she's like goes to run to, I guess, do something about this, right? And I don't even know, like, I don't even know if they gave them anything. I don't think they had anything. I don't think they had pepper spray. They may have had a flashlight. Like, I really don't think they had anything on them to like.
I think they usually just give them a walkie-talkie, I think is usually what.
And so she goes to run, and as she goes to run, she steps on her own shoelaces, right? And so she stepped on her own shoelace. She fell, and she fell sideways. And so I know she hurt her hip, right?
Of course.
And And so now we're at a stalemate because it's like you as an employee aren't supposed to do anything. That's why they hired the security, you know? And in certain situations, especially if it calls for violence, you could get fired even if you were in the right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I'm really between a rock and a hard place because any minute, this dude's going to be over here. And in my head, I'm like, I know he's going to come to my register, right? I had already played out the scenario in my head. This dude was going to come to my register and he was going to slap me in my face, right?
You're the magnet for this stuff, of course.
And so I'm like,
it's going to happen.
And so I'm like, oh no, I'm really going to get hurt. Like, bro, I was really sitting there like, man, this is gonna he probably gonna rear back too. Like,
yeah, that is pretty demeaning to be sitting behind a cash register just thinking I'm about to get my ass kicked.
And the worst part is I knew this dude was he was too out of it to actually rob me. You know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah.
Like I'm rigging people up as well because people are running to the register, clearly just trying to get out as fast as they can. So I'm rigging people up fast. Like, I was already a fast cashier. Yeah. But I'm going extra fast. Like, I'm not even sure if everything's scanned. I'm just sliding stuff over. And so, because also in my head, I was like, if we can get everybody out of the store, this problem might like solve itself. I don't know why I thought that, but I just thought like, okay, this person is clearly lashing out around a bunch of people, but if there's not a bunch of people, maybe he'll calm down or something, right?
Yeah. So
I'm bringing people up as fast as I can. And then there's even, once again, like I said, shouldn't be as funny to me as it is, but she's still on the ground. So no one's actually like helped her up yet. And then there's a guy who walks in, just a regular customer walks in, sees her on the ground, sees us like ringing people up as fast as we can. And then I like look over my shoulder at him and he just turned around and walked out.
Oh yeah. 'Cause that looks like a robbery.
Yeah. It's 18 people that only want to rob for food.
Yep.
They knock down the security guard and they're paying with credit.
Yeah, a weirdly violent but also cordial mob.
Yeah,
is coming through here.
And so I'm scanning as fast as I can, and then and this dude, I can hear him getting closer, and I don't know what aisle he's on. Right, like. I don't know if he's 2 aisles down and he's really loud, or if he's 1 aisle down and less loud. But like, I can't see him, but I can hear him. And so did I already tell you about this, by the way?
I don't think so. I don't remember this one.
And so then I'm like, I look over. That's how I know she's still on the ground. Because at first I thought I heard her fall, but I was too scared to like look behind me. I just started rigging people up fast, like. And then I turn my head and I see that she's fallen, and she's like, she says, "Help me," and I'm like, oh no, we're doomed. Like, we're actually doomed right now.
That's your security. Your security fell down and she can't get up.
And so then I'm ringing people up. I finish a transaction and I'm like looking at the customer, I'm looking at her, and then I jump up and I like help her up, and it's like definitely nothing heroic. I'm literally just helping her get back to her feet. I'm not like picking her up or anything.
Yeah. And you're helping her up to throw her to the lions too.
Hey, you got to do what you do to live, you know?
You got the badge, lady. That's on you.
And so then I run back over to the register. There's only one more customer. I close my gate as if that's going to do anything. Like, you know,
like he'll get there and be like, "Oh, okay."
You know the little gate they give you at the register?
Yeah.
So I close my little gate. And I put the closed divider on.
And then if I stand real still, he won't see me.
Yeah. If nothing beeps, he won't move, right? And now I can hear a couple things falling, so I know he's getting close, right? And then this dude finally gets to the registers in general. Luckily, doesn't come near mine at all. Runs like knocks a bunch of people out of the way to run past them as they're checking out. Mm-hmm. Runs past the security guard. Does a cartwheel and is out.
Hold on. Okay, sorry. Did you say he did a cartwheel and then he left?
Yeah, this dude did a cart. So he was already pushing people out of the way to run out of the store, and then he did a cartwheel and then he left.
Like, my brain needed a second. Because honestly, once you said cartwheel, the whole sentence like fell apart in my brain. I'm like, there's no way he said he did a cartwheel and left.
Dude, bro, when I tell you that this lady busted her hip for nothing.
Well, sounds like she didn't stand a chance anyway. He was going to be flipping around her or something. Yeah. This man is trained.
This dude did like a truly insane cartwheel.
Yeah.
And by the way, when he was like running past us screaming, he was not making sense.
No.
Like he was like hobble, whatever, right? But then
cartwheel is a powerful exit.
Yeah.
Because it not only does it take some skill and athleticism, but it's so counter to what he was doing.
I mean, is it though? He was running around apparently swinging his arms.
But to see all that and then to see him do a cartwheel on the way out would just make me go like, huh. Like it goes from like, oh no, what's going to happen to be like, well, now that was interesting. It's a weird reset, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It erases some of the crazy from before.
Yeah.
And that's the power of gymnastics, everybody.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really supports the channel. Hit the bell notification because apparently it's the only way YouTube will tell you that something happened. And just tell a friend. That's the biggest thing you could do. Just tell one person in your life that you like, maybe you don't like, that this video happened to you.
We release the podcast every Thursday on all the podcast apps, so you should find us there and subscribe on those and comment and leave reviews and whatever on all of them. And also, if you want bonus stuff, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/Josh Johnson Show. We have bonus podcasts and videos and stuff there, and we'd love to see you.
Salt Lake City, Utah. Please make some noise for Josh Johnson!
There's a lot of times when you're reading the news, going through all these stories that are deeply depressing. Every once in a while you get something that's a little, I don't know, a little spark, something that takes your mind off of all the bad stuff, even if it is one of the bad things, you know? Like, I don't know if y'all saw, but Diddy's lawyer trying to quit. Diddy. If you're not familiar, Diddy is gonna be buried under a prison, but in the Constitution, for as long as we have one, there are things. For as long as we have a Constitution, there are things laid out in it that state your rights as a citizen, you know, and your rights in court. You have the right to not incriminate yourself. You have the right to an attorney. You have the right to a speedy trial. You know, you have these rights because we've tried to set up to the best of our ability and not a great ability, a justice system that kind of works. You know what I mean? I look at the American justice system the way I look at my uncle's car, right? It barely runs, but it does turn on and off. Like functionally, it is still a car, even if you do have to push it sometimes to really get it started, and you can't trust the brakes. It's functionally, it fills the definition of a car. Yeah. And when I look at the justice system, I'm like, it's a system. But within that system, for as long as we've had it, we've had an individual, whether they did or did not do something, needs to be represented by someone up against the state or the party suing them. And the people that take on these criminal cases, maybe they take them on because they just know our system works best when there's at least someone where it won't be popular, but there's someone to stand on the other side of the thing to make sure that the scales are balanced, that gives an honest effort, even if this person did what they're accused of doing, is a monster. None of that matters, because for the justice system to be a system, we at least have to walk in the door with the scales at balance, right? Innocent until proven guilty, and just something so that we don't all tear each other apart. And then there are people who really believe their clients. They really believe in the innocence of this person. They're like, I know this thing looks bad, and I know from every angle that everyone should just throw their hands up, but I believe this person when they told me that they didn't do it, and so they represent them, right? And neither of those seem to be the case for Diddy. Like that was all mostly theoretical. It's just his lawyer quitting. His lawyer's name, I might be mispronouncing it, but I'm pretty sure it's Anthony Rico, which is one of the most insane last names to have while not wanting to represent Diddy at all. That would be like your lawyer's name being Danny Murder, and he's like, I can't be next to you though. That's wild that I can't be over here. Because I didn't even know that lawyers, I didn't know that lawyers could quit. Everything I know about the law, I know from like movies and TV and stuff. And usually when you're watching a movie or TV show where someone is having, you know, a butting head scene with their lawyer, it's either the lawyer being like, well, look, if you're not going to be honest with me, you're not going to tell me everything, then you can just find somebody else. And you don't really know what that means, right? Or the person in jail be like, oh, you're not even doing your job. You don't even believe me. You know what? You're fired. And then I don't know what that means. Yeah. But in Diddy's case, this person, I didn't know that you couldn't just quit. I didn't know that you could quit, but I also, if you could quit, I didn't know you couldn't just quit. This is sounding dumber than I'm intending it to sound, but I'm telling you the way I found out. I didn't know that you could quit, and then when I found out you could quit, I didn't know that you couldn't just leave. You have to file a motion to quit. You have to like let the judge know I need to quit. You can't just quit the way you quit at Costco. You can't just walk out middle shift. Like, you know what, I'm gonna do something else in my life. You know? And so, you know, he filed a motion so that he could quit, and in the motion he says, under no circumstances can I continue. Woof. Under no circumstances can I continue. This man's paying you millions of dollars. Under no circumstances can I continue. And then they, you know, you ask, hey, why can't you continue? And he said, you know, hey, look, I'm not going to give you any reasons, okay? You know, people are asking, I'm not going to give you any reasons, okay? Because that would violate attorney-client privilege, which I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the law. I don't know many laws at all. But that sounds very guilty to me. That sounds wildly guilty. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the law. That sounds very guilty. It feels like when you're saying, hey, why are you quitting? Because
I have to. Why? I can't tell you it would violate attorney-client privilege. Just that sounds like he did it then. That sounds like he did everything then. And the thing that's special about this particular lawyer, Anthony Rico, saying under no circumstances can I continue, is that this guy was Osama bin Laden's lawyer. And it's like that. Sir, what did he do? What did he do to make you, who defended Osama bin Laden, who defended Osama bin Laden in 2001, peak Osama. If there was ever a time where the heat was on Osama bin Laden, it was 2001. And you were right there, like my client. But you were Diddy's lawyer. And you were like, you know what? Terrorism is one thing. This guy is nasty, okay? That is very nasty. I can't be a part of this. It doesn't sit well with my soul. Oh. Because I know if you're Diddy's lawyer, you got your work cut out for you. You got a whole lot of work cut out for you. You have to hope a new pandemic breaks out that only affects memory. That's the only way you have a chance, is if almost everybody forgets everything. Because look, once again, most of what I know about the law, comes from like Law and Order, which means I know nothing about the law. Because in Law and Order, they got to wrap it up pretty quick. You know, they take you on a journey, but they got to wrap it up by the end of the episode. Everything can't be to be continued, you know? And so they got to wrap it up. So if they choose to have any of the episode take place in court, a lot of times what will happen, especially if you get into those close minutes where you're like, ooh, it's almost top of the hour. How are we going to resolve this, right? They usually just have the prosecutor, like the DA or the ADA, really badger the defendant, right? Like, you did it, didn't you do it? You did it, and you do it again. You looking and doing it right now. You did it, and you did it, and you did it well, and then you did it, and then you got caught, and you wish you were doing it right now. Look at you, you're not even here. You're letting your eyes glaze over. You're in your mind doing it again. Look at him, he's doing it again right now. He's doing it in front of us, and doing it, and doing it, and doing it. Didn't you do it? Just say you did it, because you did it, and we all know that you did it. You'll never not have done it, because you did it, and you know you did it. You do it again if we let you out. You doing it right now in your mind. You did it, and then the other person finally goes, I did it. And usually they freak out and they're like, I can't handle having to say no more than 8 times. I did it. Oh no, the jury. Dick Wolf. And that's not how it actually works in the real world. Like, sure, there are people who testify and then don't help their case. You know, they get up there and they say things that maybe make them look like they're not sorry or make them look more guilty than they're even presumed to be and everything. But you don't really have that with Diddy. Not just because the trial hasn't started, but with Diddy, he did record himself doing everything he's accused of doing, and the FBI has it. That is pretty bad. Only thing worse than doing something is doing it on camera. You know? Even if the entire jury could not see, they could hear. So it's rough. He also has not only the lawyer that Osama bin Laden had, Diddy's got like 3, 4, 5, 6 lawyers. Got a lot of lawyers. I didn't even know you could have that many lawyers. I guess you can have as many lawyers as you want, but like that already. I'm not a lawyer. Glad I'm not on the jury, but that looks very guilty to me. everyone that I know who's ever gone to jail or been found innocent and didn't go to jail, they had one lawyer. They had one lawyer to be like, hey, it's just me and he didn't do it. That was the whole proceeding, right? They didn't have a soccer team. That's crazy. You got so many lawyers. I bet you that was one of the things that his lawyer said. He was like, look, you're going to be good. You got 80 other lawyers. Okay, you don't need me. Let me go. Please, I know too much. No, because at a certain point, a certain amount of lawyers, I know that everyone has their specialties. But that looks bad to me, at least. It's like you need that many specialties at once. You accused of that many things that you go ahead and break up the work like a group project. And then to say you have like 5, 6, 7, 8, 92 lawyers, for any one of them to quit does make everything look worse. You know who didn't quit? OJ's lawyer. OJ's lawyer saw everything. He even saw him in the Bronco, and he was still like, I got you. We gonna be good. You know who else did quit? Jeffrey Dahmer's lawyer. He saw that to the end. Ted Bundy didn't even quit defending himself. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going. Let me see how this plays out. At any point, he could be like, you know what? I'm making me look extra guilty. Let me go ahead and get some help in here. No, it's mind-blowing. I don't get it. You represent Osama bin Laden. And he was number one in the world. You went for the criminal. You repped the criminal. And whatever we're finding out about Diddy behind closed doors, you were like, not this. Yuck. No. Because you see people in situations where they look incredibly guilty or they do something very dumb that's almost indefensible and they still have legal representation that sticks by them. There was a dude who, okay. I shouldn't laugh, but it's one of the dumbest crimes I've ever heard of. So basically, there was this dude who went to break into it was his house. He lived with his mom, right? But he was going to go ahead and rob the house and try to sell a bunch of stuff off, right? So then he broke into the house and then got caught because I guess police were just happened to drive by, right? And then they see him breaking the window, going into the house, had a key, breaking the window, going into the house, and then coming out with the stuff. They arrest him, and he can't believe. He's like, you have no right to arrest me. And at first, because he's explaining everything, they thought they had no right to arrest him because it was his place where he lived with his mom, even though it was her house, right? And he said, no, you have no right to arrest me because it's daytime. He genuinely believes you could only get arrested for burglary at night. And his lawyer didn't quit. There was a dude who he tried to rob a bank. He ran up in the bank. This was years ago. This dude ran up in the bank and he had his gun out, and he was like, go ahead and empty everything right now. I'll kill everybody. I don't care, swinging the gun and everything. And then the tellers were like, do you want a bag? Because he just came in, just him and the gun, just waving, him and the gun. No bag, no nothing, not even a backpack, just here with the gun. The money now. And they were like, would you like something to hold it with or anything? And he was like, damn right, it's a real gun. And they were like, sir, we asked, would you like a bag? Would you like a bag with the money? We're getting the money right now, but would you like a bag? And he's like, you're right, I've had it. And then they turned to each other and they're like, I don't think he can hear us. And so then they hit the alarm. The alarm going off, this dude's standing there, I'm waiting for my money. They're like, no, we're getting it. They get the money, they get the bag, and before he can even leave the bank, cops roll up. And basically, yeah, he was hearing impaired. And so then he sued them for taking advantage of his disability. And his lawyer stood by him. Do you see how this normally works? That's how it's supposed to go. Your lawyer is supposed to stand by you. They're supposed to be your ride or die. Diddy's lawyer said, no, I like to live and I will not be getting in the car. Oh, that's insanity. That many lawyers. You got 98,000 lawyers. I feel like Diddy just gonna keep hiring lawyers to make sure there's no one left to be on the jury. I don't even know what you would do. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at a situation like this where the whole world knows about Diddy and Diddy's case, right? It's global news, right? And everyone is expecting things to come out during his case. So there's more eyes on it than even when it started. It wasn't just a thing that popped up, oh, Diddy got arrested and then it's over. It's the fact that all of Hollywood could be implicated. That's the feeling that people have, right? So people are going to be watching the trial nonstop for every update possible because maybe your favorite pop star, maybe your least favorite R&B artist, whoever, right, will be involved in this case somehow. And so the whole world will be watching and the whole world already knows. So how could you not have, in a sense, at least if you're Diddy's defense, a tainted jury? Because how are you going to pull from people who can be impartial, who don't know who Diddy is, right? And then when you pull those people, a judge can say, and judges tell people all the time, look, I don't want you to engage with any media about the case. I don't want you reading any tabloids or social media or anything like that. And don't talk to anybody about the case. No podcast, no whatever, right? No interviews, no nothing. And even if you do that, it's impossible because of the way that we live in the world and the way that we interact with social to not be bombarded with things about whatever the biggest news topic is. So then how is it possible for Diddy to have a fair jury, right? And his lawyer could have made that case just now. And instead he said, no, I'm getting away from this dude. I cannot be near him at all. That's so bad that the only black lawyer he had was like, nah. You're not gonna get me caught up. Because you know, I think he's just scared. I think he's scared that he's so close to it that he's literally just representation, but he might go to jail. That can happen. I didn't know that could happen, but that can happen. I had never seen it happen in my life until Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen, in case you don't remember, was Trump's lawyer. And Trump got in some legal trouble. And somehow, Michael Cohen went to jail. That's a superpower. That's a superpower if I've ever seen one. I've never seen someone dodge charges so hard they hit their lawyer in the chest. That's crazy. That's the I'm rubber, you're glue of law. That's insane. Trump in all this legal trouble is like, take him. Michael, I'm sure Diddy's lawyer saw that and was like, that could happen to me. I refuse. My last name is already Rico. No. Because who takes up for you is huge. Who takes up for you in a situation where you're in the public eye and you have a scandal or you've been found to have done something, right? Whoever takes up for you, they do shift the narrative around you, and they do shift public opinion, either for you or against you, right? Like, let's say in a scenario, right? Completely hypothetical scenario. Let's say I'm driving. I can't. I'm very bad at it. But let's say I'm driving. Once again, this would never happen, all right? I failed my driving test and I have not driven since, okay? I'm very bad. But let's say I'm driving behind the wheel of a car, which I should never be. It's a chair that could kill someone. It is insane that people just get in those and just go. Like, that blows my mind. I will take an Uber or the bus. I am fine without being behind the wheel of a death machine, because all it takes is your foot and you could just take anybody out. That's crazy. I don't like being in cars in the front driving. Every time I move, it moves. That's crazy. I don't like that at all. I'll sit in the back. But let's say I'm driving, okay? And I'm driving because maybe my friend is hurt. Maybe my friend's like, oh no, I'm bleeding. No, I've been shot, whatever it is. And then he's like, you have to drive me to the hospital. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll kill us both. And so then I get in the car, and then I'm hitting stuff. I'm just, because I don't know which one's the gas and which one's the brake, because honestly, they should be further apart. In my opinion, it should be like go-karts, like right foot gas, left foot brake. And then you can just drive like this. This feels more natural to me. I don't know what y'all are doing with this thing. This feels insane. To see people doing this all the time. Ooh, I'm gonna start, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna start, I'm gonna stop, whatever. I want to just do it like when you're in a go-kart. I drive so well in a go-kart, not just because I can't go fast enough to murder, but also because I know that left is stop, and that's fine. But sometimes you get the foot. Uh-oh, I've hit them both. What does that do? So then I'm in the car and I'm driving, right? And I'm doing it poorly because I do it poorly. Because as I've said before, on stage, to many people, I don't like lefts. So I take rights until I get there, okay? So I'm just gonna take a right and then take a right, take a right. My friend probably gonna bleed out, but I'm taking these rights because a left will kill everybody, right? Now, I get to the hospital. Let's say I've got to the hospital and I have run over at least 26 people, okay? So I'm being arrested. My friend is hopefully being treated, so I've saved his life, but I am in a lot of trouble. And let's say that Dolly Parton came to my defense, right? Because I'm not famous enough to get in trouble on the news, but there might be a couple of tweets where it's like, do you see that comedian just floored everybody? Just drove on the sidewalk for 6 blocks and took a right and drove on the sidewalk for 4 more blocks and took a right and drove on the sidewalk for 2 blocks and then took a right and then got to the hospital and hit somebody in front of the hospital. And I only hit them because I was trying to hit the brake, but it should be over here. But instead, it's in the middle. I guess. I don't know. I'm never in the car right there. I don't know what y'all do. Why isn't it just Why isn't it just buttons? Let me hit a gas button. That would be nice. To just have the wheel and then a button. Right thumb is gas, left thumb is brake, and it's like a video game, but instead just over here. Crazy way to do it, but y'all do you, okay? Let's say though that Dolly Parton comes to my defense. Probably never gonna happen. I don't know her, would love to, but let's say she's like, I know Josh personally, okay? And I know he would never purposely run over 26 people. It must have been something that happened. And you say he was in a car. He said he would never do that. It must be an emergency. Oh, he was trying to help his friend. Y'all, please, if you can find it in your heart, to forgive Josh and his dumb feet. I'm just saying, if Dolly Parton came to my defense, I think that would shift a lot of people's opinion of me. Everyone loves Dolly Parton. Everybody knows Dolly Parton is a sweetheart. And so if she came to someone's defense, you would think, oh, if Dolly sees something in this person, then yeah, maybe they're a good person. Maybe she's right. Maybe he didn't mean to run over 26 people. don't know. I don't know what Diddy does from here, because the guy who represented Osama bin Laden dipped. I don't know who you get after that. That seemed like the bottom or the top, depending on what your definition of willing to represent evil is. I don't like if the dude who represented Osama is like, I'm a dip, I don't know who else would jump in, you know? Giuliani? Okay, well, he lost his license. I'm positive he lost his license. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's the only one who can do it. I have no idea. Because someone did come to Diddy's defense in the wake of Diddy losing that representation, you know, in close proximity to Diddy's lawyer being like, I can't do this anymore. Someone did come to Diddy's defense publicly. Unfortunately, it was Kanye West. In a tweeting tirade, Kanye West went on an absolute rampage. He called himself a Nazi, he posted a bunch of like anti-Semitic stuff. He said all sorts of things. And then he said, by the way, free Puff. I think if you're Diddy in jail, you're like, this is worse. That is worse. I did not know it could get worse than the Osama bin Laden lawyer leaving me. But this is bad. This is very, very bad. That was me kind of like doing a little bit of rapping the way that Diddy does it because he's not good at it. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, this is bad. This is worse because he's calling himself a Nazi, and then he's like, also that guy. Think of that guy and me together right now. Think of when you think of me, I want you to think of him, all right? But who knows? Maybe when the lawyer who represented Osama bin Laden dips, maybe the only person left to represent you is Ye. I think that's I could see that. I could see Ye showing up to court being like, Your Honor, I rest my case.
I read this week that Harvey Weinstein got rushed to the hospital from prison after a heart episode, maybe a heart attack or something like that. And as soon as I read it, I was like, rushed? Do they not know? Oh, you can take your time with Harvey. You don't got to run any red lights for Harvey. You don't need to put the siren on, just making turns like you. That's got to be tough. You driving Harvey Weinstein's ambulance. You hitting yellow lights making decisions. Turns a little bit yellow, we wouldn't have made it. I'm sure even the guard at the prison, Harvey over here, the guard's like, oh no. Don't. That's a tough one too, because like I was thinking about it, because I was thinking about it from as many angles as possible, because it's not just he's the person and it's part of the headline, but there are lots of people around him in this situation. You got to think about the people at the hospital. You know, you go to the ER, got a real bad headache, and then they run in with Harvey Weinstein. Just having a heart attack, and you're like, but y'all still gonna get me first, right? Like this hurts really bad. Can we? Or maybe you're not a patient, maybe you're a surgeon. Imagine, because we don't know what happened exactly, just know that he has some sort of thing happen. What if that dude had to have like open heart surgery, you know? And I don't think he did. I think we would have heard about it, but let's say he had to have open heart surgery. Let's say you're a surgeon. You work at the hospital. You went to school, you studied hard, you learned everything that there was to learn about healing someone, especially someone in dire straits, someone who's really, really down to the wire, right? And you go to school, med school, maybe do some sort of residency. I don't know how it works, but you get hired by a hospital and you come into work on a random Tuesday. Checking into work and everything, about to sit at your desk, and somebody runs in, hey, you gotta come, quick, quick, quick. And then they pull you into an OR, and it's Harvey Weinstein on the table. And you're like, uh-oh. Like, hurry, you gotta save him. And you're like, gotta? Like, do I really? It's like, yeah, you took a Hippocratic oath to... I was like, yeah, but when they made us... When they made us take the oath, they didn't mention anything like this. Like, I was saying it in theory. Somebody might have had to do open heart surgery on Harvey Weinstein. Someone might have had to put their hands in Harvey Weinstein. The whole time they're just like, ew, 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 ew. You know, it's insane. It's like I couldn't get it off my mind, too, because it's like everybody involved, you know? They have to do their job, and their job is to heal, but you got to heal a bad person. This dude is the devil. And you know how we know he's like truly, truly evil? Not all the testimony, not all of the stories about things that he's done for decades over his career. We know that everybody knows because they made him. During the trial was when I was like, man, this guy, oof, this is worse than we could ever imagine, because during the trial they got him to do the thing that they get dudes to do when they're definitely guilty. When people are guilty and the jury knows it, the judge knows it, and their own lawyers know it, they all do the same thing. You can look at any case in America. They always tell this dude, hey, listen, you're going to need to act as feeble as possible. Okay, from now on, you use a walker. Do you understand me? We had never seen Harvey with a walker before. You know that man didn't need a walker, but as soon as he was in hot water, he over here can't close his mouth. Get out of here. No. They did the same thing with Cosby. You knew Cosby was guilty because they told that man to act extra blind. Cosby had been losing his sight incrementally over decades, but when it came to the trial, they put glasses on that man and he started acting. You know, he was not that blind. It's one thing to not be able to see. This man was over here putting it on, just Ray Charles and it. So you can't feel the sounds. Don't do that. Because Harvey showed up in that walker, and I was like, yeah, he did everything. Over here. No. Get out of here, man. That's so insane. But I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I really do hope that he's not okay. I don't know. I can't judge anybody for not being great at their job because I've been bad at work before. I've had jobs where I look back and I'm like, they should have fired me. You know what I mean? Like I have a good attitude at work, so people, you know, they're like always pleasant, so they let me keep coming in. But there were times, okay. I worked for a very, very short period of time at this like storage unit place. They only gave me a couple hours because I was terrible, right? But I would be late, and I would be so late that you know that level of late where you know you need an excuse? And it has to be good. It has to be great. Like you're so late that now, first 10 minutes of late, you can blame traffic, right? Next 10 minutes of late, now you got to blame kids, a sick pet. You got to, you know what I mean? Something. After 30, someone has to be dead. After 30, you have to be brave for showing up. You know what I mean? You have to win them over again and be like, hey, look, you know, my whole family. But I care so much about this job that I was like, let me go ahead and do those 7.5 hours because I wanted to make sure I helped out the company, you know what I mean? And the problem with death is that you can really only use it once a year. Because if everybody die every time you late, you look like bad luck, you know what I mean? Like you look like you're really going through it, right? Because after 30, that's when you have to decide, did somebody die or am I too sick to come in? Because your boss, your manager is already going to be mad because this is a call you should have made 30 minutes before you were late, if not sooner than that. But now that you're this late, now you have to call and basically try to pretend to throw up on the phone, right? At 30 minutes late, you got to call and be like, hey, I'm so sorry. I know I'm already late, and I love my job so much. I love my job. Like you wouldn't believe, you know what I mean? Like I had a dream last night I was on time. I had a dream that I was on time working, because you know how I love to work there, right? Like, you know, and I was doing my job. I was moving the boxes and everything, and it felt good to be there with y'all, my coworkers, and my boss, who I'm calling right now, who I know is too good of a person to hold this against me. You know I love it here. Now, there was one time I was so late. I was so late that I called my job and pretended to be my old brother. It was like, oh, Josh wanted me to call you, and I forgot. He actually told me to call you 2.5 hours ago, the exact amount of time that the manual says that he has to let you know that he can't come in by if he doesn't want to get written up. I meant to call at that time for him, but I forgot. That's my bad. His brother, not him, right? And I just basically called to tell you he died. I used to struggle, but now I think I've accepted like how out of control I am of how I'm perceived as a person, right? Like I don't really get to decide. You can try to like maintain an image, and you can try to like curate a way that people might see you, but you can't actually control it, right? And one
One like optic I've never been able to fully control is like giving off like hardcore man. You know what I mean? Like just like, oh, that's a man right there, right? Because a lot of like masculinity, a lot of just general male identity is all the way down to optics. You know? It used to be a bunch of things that made you a man, you know? And some of those things were literally just judged by things that women couldn't do. So if you go back to like the 60s and like women couldn't have a credit card or something and you had a credit card, you're like, I'm a man, charge it. But as women made more strides and the need for a man became less in like women's lives, the whole of what it meant to seem like or be a man started to narrow, and it's narrowed down now to the point of like aesthetics, like just general optics, right? And I know I don't give those off. And not in a self-deprecating way, just in like a true, if I'm being myself, they don't come across. Like I was on a date and I could tell I didn't come off as like that man for her because I blew on my hot food too many times. From the time you're a child, your parents tell you to blow on that food because it's hot. You don't want to burn your mouth, right? And I decided a long time ago that I was as close to done as possible to doing like dumb stuff just to look like a man. I was either gonna like be a man at that moment or I wasn't. I was just gonna be honest with myself. I wasn't gonna take a hot bite and then juggle it in the back of my throat. Take a piping hot bite of lasagna, then that's not me. I'm gonna be real with myself. And so I went ahead and I took my fork, and everyone on planet Earth gets one blow. That's you even checking the temperature. Sometimes you bring food to your lip and it's so hot, it's not even touching your lip yet, but you're like, ooh, food. But I took too long. I also took too long between blows. I took my fork of food, I was like, it doesn't hit right, you know what I mean? There's not just one thing. There's lots of things that I do. Like I also it doesn't seem very manly, but I use a lot of napkins. And I don't mean like I have a handkerchief that I keep in a suit that's like somebody crying, I can be like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about I have Wendy's napkins in my back pocket. I was on a date, same date as the last thing. This happened right after, where, you know, because I blow my food so hard sometimes, depending on the food, and if it's saucy, it'll splash, right? And so it's one thing if you have a little something here or, you know, here, but if you blow the food so hard that it splashes up a little bit and you got a little food on your nose or your cheek and you start to look like a toddler, that's also unacceptable. Hence, I keep the napkins on me because I blow my food. I'm not giving it up, right? But she was like, oh, you have a little something right here. And so then I grabbed a napkin and I was like, that wasn't the manliest way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I should have grabbed the napkin and smeared it. You know what I mean? Just like, did I get it? I don't care. You know what I mean? That would have been more manly. Because it is just, it's part of self-acceptance. Just know there's certain things that you do. I'm not saying you can't change them, but like, I'm not gonna be myself and then wonder why people don't think I'm someone else. Do you know what I mean? So if you get a good sense of yourself, you understand why you come off the way that you come off, right? Like, I think there's 2 times where you cannot help, no matter what you try to project, you cannot help but be yourself. The 2 times are when you laugh and when you are scared, right? Because when you laugh, sometimes you don't even want to laugh. Like you, sir. No, I'm just sometimes when you laugh, you don't even want to laugh, but it just escapes you because it's so funny, like when a kid falls. It's not always funny, but sometimes it's very funny. They fall so stupid. Like, it's like, why is his leg up there like that? Do they have bones? Like, what's happening? And so you laugh, and then sometimes the laugh escapes, and you can't even control the way that it comes out. It's funny, Same way with fear. Sometimes you get scared. You don't mean to get scared. We would all like to not be scared, right? But sometimes you're fearful, and when the fear escapes you, your reaction, that is who you are. I'll give you an example. I was at my buddy's house one time, and my buddy doesn't have a good house. No, I've told him this to his face before. I'm like, you're in a bad situation. You need to improve your life and yourself, all right? Because he is in a bachelor pad with 3 other dudes, and they keep it, whatever you imagining, that's what it looked like, right? So it's not good. There's whole rags on the floor nobody will claim. I'm like, y'all can't live like this. And so he was having an argument with his roommate, and they were really having it out, which was awkward because I was over there to watch a movie that was now paused. So this doesn't have anything to do with me, but I was just over here. We had already started. We're 30 minutes in. I don't want to go home and then try to find my spot and everything. Let's just watch the movie. But then they over there jawing at each other, and it's getting more and more intense, and it's awkward too because my buddy's sitting here and the roommate is standing up. When I say we're sitting here, we sitting on the floor because he doesn't have furniture. It's not a good house, and so we're sitting on the floor, and so then I'm getting yelled over because he's yelling at him, but then he's standing over us, and so I feel like I'm in trouble too, and I'm like, I just want to watch the movie. Then finally his friend lays down the hammer. I don't remember what he said, but he said those like last words that you say in a fight, and he stormed off and he went to slam the door behind him, right? But because they don't have a good house, right? He went to slam the door, and the door fell off. Even badly built homes have good hinges. There's no reason for the whole door to fall off. And so this is what happened. I knew he was going to slam the door because I was looking at him when he was walking away, because I was like, okay, I can unpause it, right? So when he slammed the door, that was a loud noise that I saw coming, right? Boom. That's fine. Doesn't scare me. But I had turned my head and I had hit play, and the door, the way the hinges decided to give out was incrementally, right? And so the door didn't just fall right off. It just sort of slowly started to fall hinge by hinge until it slammed down, right? But this is a loud noise that I wasn't expecting. So then the door fell, and it made that whip sound, like when you just drop a book on its face, and I'm not proud of it. But when I get scared enough, I grab my chest with an open hand. And this is
This is hard to come back from. This right here. People don't play games with this. This is bona fide bitch right here. If you do this and you don't want people to see it, you gotta go kill everybody who saw it. Because people will tell people that you did this. This is not the hand gesture of someone who's like, man, I'll kick your ass. That's never said doing this. This is the look of someone that goes to Trader Joe's and says, what do you mean you're out of peach jam? This is a never in my days gesture. This is a my word, my Lord gesture. This is what you do when the ops start shooting. I'm over here grabbing a robe I'm not wearing, right? I get hyped for the 4th of July ahead of time, really far out, you know? Get great barbecue, you know? It's the country's birthday and everything, you know. It's the only time as a guy you can look up at the sky and be like, ooh, sparkly, yes. You still have to hide it behind machismo, like, yeah, it's sparkly, but it's blowing up, all right? Anybody can get it, shots fired, okay? You know, 4th of July is just a straight pride parade. That's all it's ever been, you know. It's just the one time a year guys get to be like, yeah. It's basically don't act like it's not drag just because you put on a longer beard. Like you dancing in the street too. You know, that's why I'm always blown away by people who complain about pride and they're like, there's no straight pride parade. I'm like, yours is coming up in a month. Like, you can't give it 30 days. Even when you think about it, too, you think about the way that the country came together, too. We think of the founding fathers as all these old wise men and everything, because that's when they got painted. You know, they got painted late. They had already survived the war by the time we painted them. When they were in the war, they were much younger. We got the pains when they were like 40. But they fought in the war. You think they were fighting in the war old? You know what I mean? Like, you think Washington was in the war like, get them, boys? No, y'all shoot. Oh. No, these were young men. Yeah, young men battling to create a country, you know? And it's mind-blowing how young they were when we won. You know, July 4th of 1776, Alexander Hamilton was in his 20s, early 20s. So was Aaron Burr. You know, some of the oldest people, I think even Washington was like only 40 or something. And that's just, it should be a testament to the fact that sometimes, you know, as much as young people don't always know the way, they have the energy to go the furthest, you know. So sometimes it's important to let young people lead and old people guide, you know. I think that's how you know, because there's someone that has all the passion, all the fire in their heart to do something, to try to build a better world, and then there's someone behind them that doesn't have as much of the fire anymore, but is like, don't trip over that rock. Just go a little bit more left and you'll be fine. Don't do what I did. That's how I messed up my knee, though. No. Founding fathers they're fascinating to me because, you know, they were trying to carve out an ideal into making it, you know, making it substantial, making it real. make it in the country and everything, but there were still some pretty deep. I don't know. It's a hard thing to write down. You know, all men are created equal, and then look over and be like, except. Yeah, I mean, so it's a dream that took time, still takes time, still hasn't been fully realized in the way that it's at least on the paper. You know, like sometimes people have this revisionist history about the founding fathers, like they would have wanted the best for everyone and for all of us to get along. And I'm like, no, they said what they meant. They, do you know what I mean? Like, the founding fathers didn't have slaves, but also be like, one day someone will right this wrong. You know, but I think about how even, you know, people know more about Alexander Hamilton now because of the musical and stuff. But Hamilton, you know, staunchly against slavery and everything, and he was young, so I'm sure he was like this young kid that people looked at like, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. He just talks a lot, you know. And it's funny how we know about Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr's feud mostly because of the musical, but we don't know how petty it got. Alexander Hamilton built a home in New York City, right? And Aaron Burr used his money to build a home down the street because he was jealous of where Alexander's home was, so he built the house pretty close by so that I guess Hamilton could see him hating from down the street. Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr were the original Kendrick and Drake. Amazing. I also get excited for the summer. I get excited for July because it usually means, at least for some years, that Will Smith has a new movie out. And it's happened. Bad Boys is out. It's crushing the box office, you know. Does Will Smith slap all the money out of Hollywood? Man, I want them to make as many Bad Boys movies as possible. I want to see these men old. I want there to be so many Bad Boys movies that after a while you're like, boys? I want them to make so many they gotta change it to Bad Unks, you know? As I'm getting older, I realize this year that all of my close friends are either in or closely approaching their 30s. And it's so funny because, you know, everybody 30 and up, when people turn 30 now, they call themselves old, which is insane to me. That's so, like, medicine is getting good enough where you can kind of expect to live to 90, but you're old at 30. Why would you be old most of the time? That doesn't make any sense at all. You don't bring home bread and then the next day go, it's pretty old. No, but I get how people feel that way. I really do, because what's happening is we know deep down, right? We have this obsession with youth, and we, you know, everyone's trying to look young, be young, stay young, feel young, all this stuff like that. And it's mainly because, and I've said this before, it's mainly because we know how we treat older people. So we're more scared of that than we are getting old. What's wrong with getting older? You know more stuff. Why would that be bad, you know? But I get how people feel old at a certain time, because especially people who are in their 30s now, we're in a very specific time that hasn't happened, at least the way that it's happening to us, right? Because we were like coming of age at a time that was like a turning point for what feels like almost everything, right? Business gets done differently now. Tech is different. Every aspect of life is different, and we remember right before and as it turned and now. You know what I mean? Like if you're in your like 30s, you're like 33 and up, you remember before Google. that sounds ancient. That's... Just to say before Google sounds like another century, because it was. I work with people that are younger than me. I was explaining to someone, and I hate when I have to explain a thing that makes me sound older than I am, because they're a little younger. So then I had to explain before Google to them. And I sounded crazy. I sounded crazy to me, but I was there, so I know I'm not wrong. I sounded insane. I was like, no, because before Google, you had to just know. And if you didn't know, you had to ask somebody who you hope knew and was friendly. And if they didn't know, you had to go online. We still had online. Don't do that. We still had online. So then you had to go online and you had to ask Jeeves. And then they were like, "What is Ask Jeeves? Like, what is?" And I was like, "Ask Jeeves is. It's like if Google was white. Like it's." And so you had to ask Jeeves, and if Jeeves didn't know, then you had to go to the library, and you had to ask a librarian. And if the librarian didn't know, they would give you a number with dots. They would give you a library is like a house for books. They would give you a number with dots, and then you would go trace the dots and the number to a book, and then you would read the book to see if the answer to your question was in there. And if it wasn't, you would just know a bunch of different stuff. You would know. A book is like a slow Kindle. It's like. Like you scroll with your finger, but it turns like there's something to turn with your finger. It's not, there's no screen. And then, if your question, what you've been looking for 6 months, yes, it takes a long time. So maybe cut your dad some slack. It used to be harder to know. Do you know how crazy you sound saying it used to be harder to know? That's not how I wanted to end it. I know I'm getting older because I'm getting genuinely more and more nostalgic for small things. Like not movies, not like really small things about life. Like I miss growing up in the 90s. I think all of our appliances in the 90s were just better. They were just like top notch because not only did they last longer and they worked, but you could fix anything in your house by hitting it. Violence solves so much in the home. Growing up, all you need was some fists and some belief. And you could fix a whole house. Don't need to call a contractor or anything. Like if you had just any appliance, you know? And what was special about it was that you knew how to hit it. You knew how to hit yours. That's very important. It wasn't just you could go hitting something. Well, you got to know your machine and you knew how to hit it specifically to get it to work. And it wouldn't work when you went over to your friend's house. You go over to your friend's house and their thing wouldn't be working and you'd be like, and they'd be like, no, you gotta go. And you're like, wow, I didn't know that. I don't have that model. That's good to know. So when I upgrade, it's 2. Okay, that's good to know. And it's 2 towards the front. All right, that's good to know. It was a beautiful time. I just felt like things really worked. You know, like a 90s washing machine. A 90s washing machine you could hear it all through if you were lucky enough to have a washing machine in your home, if you had a laundry room in your home, you could hear, no matter where you were in the house, because the washing machine would be whooping your clothes. No matter where you were in the house, as soon as you started you would hold off watching a movie. Because you're like, we can't watch a movie and do the laundry. That's not, it's gonna mess up the experience, all right? It would be whooping the state. You could hear your clothes getting beat. And they were all loud, and they all just, like, the washing machine moved like it had legs. No matter where you were in the house, you could hear your clothes screaming in the machine. Just, and you would go, whether it was your house or somebody else's house, you could go to somebody's house, you could tell how strong their washing machine was by how messed up the paint was on the wall. On that edge that was next to the machine. It would be beating your clothes, beating the stains out, horrific stuff, right? To the point where you could, even when you stained the shirt, you could tell, even back in the 90s, your shirts would be like, don't do that to me, bro. No, come on. Hey, no, we good? I'll push it out. I'll push the stain out. Don't send me in there with them. No. Be amazing. And then if there was a little malfunction, if the door wouldn't lock and lips started coming up and everything, you know, suds started spitting out everything, just took a little bam. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh. It was beautiful, you know? These new washing machines, I know I already sound like an old man, but I was at an Airbnb. They had a washing machine in the Airbnb, which at first I was very excited about. I was like, oh, it's amazing. You never get this, right? And the washing machine was state of the art. And it was like a Tesla washing machine. It had so many buttons. It had a keyboard's worth of buttons. It had more buttons than I cared to read. I just wanted to hit clean. It had a handkerchief setting. It was insanity. And then you put got stain on the shirt, put the clothes in, and then, you hit whatever, turn. There was a lot to do. And then you hit, and it starts, and you can tell something is happening because it's spinning, and you can see through it now. It has the little door where you can look in, and it's spinning so fast that the clothes are gone. I was looking, and I was like, I can't tell if it's spinning or if it left. This is crazy, but it was silent, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that it was quiet the entire time, right? Just, but nothing. You couldn't hear anything, right? I didn't even know when the clothes were done. That would have never happened in the 90s. You always knew when your clothes were done because your washing machine would finish beating your clothes. And you would hear, because they used to put alarm clock stuff in the washing machine to make sure they made the same noise. This thing finished. I had no idea. It finished and it was like, hey. I don't want to disturb you, but I think I did it. And then I pulled the shirt out of the washing machine. The stain was so intact. The stain was sitting there comfortably. The stain was looking at me like it had its legs crossed. Looking at me like, your move. Even TVs. I remember we got a big screen TV and it was a huge deal, but the TV was if I remember correctly, it was kind of like a hand-me-down because we got the TV because it wasn't really working as much anymore. So the people that were throwing out the TV were like, we're going to get a new TV. And we were like, we don't have a TV, so let's take yours, right? And it was huge. It took up like most of the, remember the big 90s, tall, wide. Remember when TVs had ass? Do you know what I mean? Like really had it, like some true thickums. You know what I mean? Like, you would go over to your friend's house, they'd be like, I got a new TV. You'd be like, oh, she packing. Oh, wow. I don't even understand. I don't even know why they made them like that. But it had like, it would be the screen here, but then just boom, boom. And that was great because even though the TV didn't always work, you know, you knew how to work it, right? Because it would do that thing where all those TVs back then, when they didn't work, they would just get wavy. You remember that? It would be like, I'd put on the news and it would just be like red, blue, green, red, magenta, yellow. And you'd turn on the news and be like, at 8 o'clock. Because I was little when we got this TV, and I remember turning it on and it wasn't working. I was like, Mama, the TV ate a popsicle. And my dad would usually be the one to hit the TV because he knew how to do it, right? But my dad hit the he hit the TV a lot. My dad hit the TV so much, sometimes I was wondering if it was really about the TV. You know what I mean? Sometimes my dad would hit TV. I'm like, no, it was working. That's how. But my dad hit the TV so much that I think the TV genuinely learned to recognize, hey. One time I was trying to watch the news and my dad came home. That's all he did. He just came into the house and the TV was like, 8 o'clock. As soon as he closed the door, it was like 2 people were murdered. And then I got a TV. I bought a TV for myself as an adult because I wanted to have my own big screen TV. I wanted to have my own, like, oh, I'm sitting at home chilling for the weekend, watching a movie, have a real experience for myself, right? And I bought it. It was too expensive. I took out a car note on this TV. This several payment TV, and you know, we bring it home. I'm excited initially. I'm super excited because, you know, they bring it home and they install it, they mount it on the wall and everything. Smart TV, brilliant TV. Good grades TV, right? But I'm trying to watch this TV and I want to be, I'm not like a dumb person, but like I cannot figure out how to get the subtitles off this TV, and it's like, I can't stress how much this is not my fault, all right? I'm not like a dumb, like I know I'm up here doing the jokes and we're all having a good, but I'm not a dumb guy. Like this is crazy, all right? And I want to be clear, I know that it's not the HBO subtitles at all, because then I go to the settings at HBO and HBO is like, it's not us. We're not the one to do it. But I'm trying to watch Dune 2, right? Trying to watch Dune 2 on this big screen TV. I turn on HBO, I'm watching, and it gets to that part where like Timothy Chalamet doing that like Fremen language, so he's like, you know what I mean? Like whatever they say. And so then in the movie, they have subtitles for that part because nobody knows what they say, right? So then the movie, those subtitles come up. But then on top of those subtitles are these like nasty gray italic subtitles coming up. And I'm like, who is typing? That's not what I wanted at all, and I can't get it off. And it's great, and it was everything I watched. I would leave HBO, and I could watch something somewhere else, and they were like, and that's not even as bad as when I first got it. Because when I first got it, when I first brought the TV home, it had I don't know how it happened. It had the audio description on. All right. Now, if you, some of you are familiar. So, if you don't know what audio description is, it's basically if you're watching it and you're visually impaired, it will give you both context for what is happening in the show and things that are more like stage direction. They're just happening silently, right? So then I don't know that that's on. I don't know. I didn't press anything. I just turned on TV. I hit on the TV. That's all I did. And so then I went to watch Law and Order SVU. All right. So now I'm watching Law and Order, and Olivia is like handing somebody their ass, right? Like she's just like, you don't know anything about Survivor, you don't know anything. And then she walks out of the room, and then as she walks out of the room, my TV is like, Olivia leaves the room, and I'm like, who is that? Who is that? Who is in here? And I went to the settings. I went to Peacock. I went into the settings, and the Peacock settings were like, it's not us. We're not doing that. I've used remotes all my life. I've all the time used the remote, and I pressed the remote was not remoting. Finally, it was off. I don't even know what I did. Maybe I didn't do anything. Maybe the TV just decided to stop doing it. I have no idea. But I was watching a different episode, and Olivia was once again handing somebody their ass. You don't know anything about Survivor. You don't know anything. And then she left the room, and I was like, because what can you do with this TV? What can I do when I can't get the subtitles on? You can't hit it. You can't hit it. I took out a mortgage on this TV. You cannot hit it. You used to be able, when the old TV, when I was little, I would play Sega Genesis connected to the back of the TV, right? And then sometimes Sega would be glitching up, which, translated for kids means the game was cheating, right? So then the game would be cheating, and so then I would get mad, and I would stand up, like 10 years old, I'd stand up, and I'd punch the TV in its face. I would I'd punch the TV as hard as I could in what I thought was the nose, right? Like I would just, and I don't know what the TV was made, but I would punch the TV and I would pull back the most mangled hand. Cause I don't know what it was made of, but it wasn't glass. There's no way it was glass. It had to be like clear steel or something. Because the hand that I was pulling back, all my fingers had switched up and stuff. My thumb was in the middle. And now you can't punch a TV at all. You can't even dust this TV. You just gotta bargain with it. You used to be able to hit everything. The only thing you didn't hit back in the day was the microwave. I feel like he didn't hit the microwave because then and now, we don't really understand how the microwave works. Yeah, I mean, I can always describe a microwave. If someone had never met a microwave before and they were trying to ask me what a microwave was, I'd be like, it is hot magic. Yeah, I mean, they put some hellfire to good use and it gets the soups hot when you put it in there. My grandma, when I was little, she had what I imagine was the second microwave ever made. Like it was one of the oldest microwaves I've ever seen, and it didn't make any sense. We would try to get rid of it all the time because it was so old that the door handle for the microwave looked like a door. Like it just. And then the buttons, she had it for so long. This had to have been, maybe it was the first microwave. She had it for so long that all the buttons had faded. So you don't know what you're pressing. I don't know what's potato and what's two. Like every time you put something in this microwave, it's a gamble, right? You don't know if you're hitting defrost, if you're hitting 9 or whatever. And so there was one time that everybody was cooking in the kitchen, but I wanted to make some easy mac in a little cup, so I flipped it open, put the water in, tried to put it in the microwave. It was like dun 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 dun, because I just had to go by feeling, because all the buttons were like outies. That makes like all the buttons were poking out like. Go ahead, press me. Go ahead. Press me. I don't know what's gonna happen either. Press me. Let's do it. Do it. Do it. Now, I remember I pressed the buttons and put the easy Mac, but there's so many people in the kitchen. I'm getting pressed up against the microwave, and I didn't hit it. I just was pressed up against it, and my whole face started to get hot. And I was like, y'all, this is leaking. I don't know. It is leaking magic in the kitchen. We need to evacuate.